And we're live. And we're live on the YouTube. Hi,
We're
YouTube.
live.
We're live on the YouTube. It's alive. Hey, everybody. Hope
And
everybody out there is doing well.
retweet.
Hope everybody's doing well on this Friday night. Curious to see.
Hope,
We'll see how
hope
many people
everybody is
show up.
making merriment
Yeah.
this
I'm
New Year's Eve weekend.
really going to be curious to see how many people show up tonight because I know there's probably a lot of people who are, out doing New Year's weekend things because they have lives and friends. We're
Well, see,
sitting
here's
here.
the thing. Here's the thing. I think there's a really clean dissection of the populace that's like, oh, it's New Year's Eve weekend. Let's go out and do something. And then you've got another massive group, I think much larger than people give it credit for, that's like, oh my God, it's New Year's Eve weekend. I'm not even thinking of going out into the idiot mass of humanity that's
Yeah,
probably crowding the streets right now.
I hope so.
So,
I mean, like that,
hello to
for
all of you in the latter group.
yeah, for people's safety, I hope so. Because
Mhm.
especially working overnight at convenience stores for many
Yeah.
years, like I've seen so much of that stuff, man. And
Oh, yeah.
unfortunate, unfortunate and dangerous. And Eric was saying there's already fireworks going off over
Yeah,
where
I've got fireworks going off outside my condo. So,
yeah. I'm sure it's going to be happening either later tonight or tomorrow or something around where I live, but people have been quiet for now. We'll see, man. I don't know. I'm not a fireworks guy. Never have been. I like the way they look, but that's about it. It's about the only thing I like about them. You know?
I've been to a couple down here since I've been to Florida. I've honestly been to a couple like really bad ones
Oh,
since
really?
I've been down here
Like
in Florida.
fireworks
Yeah.
shows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll typically do like a public, people go to the park with their kids and there's fireworks and stuff like that and but it's loud, it's not good for pets, it's not good for combat veterans as you know. Like to me I'm like, what's the point? Blow stuff up. Anyway,
I feel like my lighting is a little low.
I don't know.
Like
Looks
my
same as normal to me. I don't know. I just work here.
I just
Get you one of those I actually really want to get, I need to replace this light that I have here, but I want to get, there's it's like, I don't know, $75, something like that. But it's like a little mounted light, but it'll just like blast you with
yeah.
light. It's meant to be attached to, camera equipment and stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking about getting something like that.
As a matter of fact, give me just 2 seconds.
All right, you're good. We're letting people file in here. Letting people come in. Anybody out there? Got a few people who may be hanging out with us tonight. Love and appreciate y'all. Hi everybody out there in YouTube land. Hi everybody. Them's fighting herds on Eric's background tonight. It's got a little them's fighting herds going on back there. I feel like this is gonna be an interesting show tonight. We'll see what happens tonight because we don't have a lot of Nintendo news to talk about. So I feel like we're just gonna be hanging out a little bit tonight. Just vibing. See where the night takes us, man. Feel like that's the kind of night we're in store for. And I mean, literally, we're putting our notes together. And we're like, we honestly might as well just lean into it. It's the final week of the year. Nobody wants to put out any news. GoldenEye, who needs it? Guess that's missing this year. Not getting that. There you go. That does look a lot better.
Yeah.
You were right. Nice. What was it? Like it was just like your like the you have like a dimmer or something like that, or
No, I just added, from my time as a broadcaster in the Army, I've just like lighting interviews and stuff like that was always one of my
yeah,
big strengths. So I was looking at a specific spot and I was like, I need a medium strength light right there. So
yeah.
that's what I did.
Well, there you go. Worked out. Hey, Delroy's here in the chat. My good friend Delroy. He says it's 2 a.m., so back to sleep in a few. Just saying hi and have fun, you two. Thanks for the show and being such a great light in the Nintendo community. You've become a must listen week to week. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that, dude. Love you very much, man. Sleep
Tip
well.
of the New Year's mug to you.
Yeah. He's over in Germany, so it is quite late where he's at.
It is quite late, yeah.
So much love to you guys, man. I hope you're keeping well. Actually, I don't even know. He might not even be in Germany right now. That's a globetrotting dude right there, man. He was like, I'm in London for Christmas, and yeah, he's
nice.
He's all over the world, man.
Very
Home
nice.
base is Germany, but anywho,
hardcore all-in Eric fans, and that term makes me scared. But hardcore all-in Eric fans will know that I spent some time in Germany myself when I was
around the block.
Youth. Yeah, I lived in Mannheim, Germany for 3 years when my father was stationed there. 90, as a matter of fact, we were talking about this just a couple days ago. In 1994 to 1996, I lived in Germany. Great 3 years. I love Germany.
Yeah, he says Italy actually today. There it is. I knew it was somewhere romantic and lilting and European. So nice. I hope you guys have a great time over there for the new year, man. You guys deserve it. Much love to you guys. All right. Well, let's get this show on the road, man. What do you say? Shall we do the thing? Let's do the thing.
Now that I have been properly lit.
Now you're properly lit. Cool. Let's do it, man. We're going to roll the intro and we'll see everybody on the other side. Cycle might be boring this week, but we certainly won't be. We are here all on a Nintendo podcast, the weekly Nintendo variety show where each and every week no shells left unturned and no points left unearned. Doesn't matter if video game news is gonna pump the brakes for the final week of the year. All in ain't pumping the brakes, man. We're still here on YouTube.com.
We're pushing the pedal to the floor.
That's right. We're still here on YouTube.com/allinpodcast, recording the first segments of our show live, like we do every single week, every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Shout outs to everybody who is here hanging out with us live, foregoing your New Year's Eve, your New Year's weekend, hanging out with us while we just kind of hang out a little bit. It's going to be a little bit of a weird show, I feel like, but we have some good stuff planned for the podcast, and we're just going to hang out and have some fun, man. Send off 2022 with a bang. But before we get into any of that, we do need to thank the wonderful people who are making it happen, who have been with us this year, and who are making the dreams come true, my friend. We need to shout out our patrons.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shout out the amazing legends who have helped make 2022 a banner year for your amazing co-hosts here at All In, a Nintendo podcast.
That's right. So let's shout out our patrons, patreon.com/allinpodcast, the Golden Banana and Triforce tier supporters over there do get shout outs every week on the show. Actually want to shout out a brand new patron who became a brand new patron at the Triforce tier on Christmas Day.
Wow.
Became a Triforce tier patron.
Indeed.
Yeah, mic drop. My good friend, one of my favorite people on the planet, Daniel Hinojosa, long time
Daniel, nice, thank you.
He's been, just an amazing person, one of my best friends for the past 15 years. I met him in 2007. I was writing a blog of all things, and I was writing a opinion piece about my favorite games of 2007. And 2007 was such a crazy year that I actually I reached out to people on my friends list on Xbox Live, and he was one of the people that just randomly was on my friends list. I think we'd played Halo 3 together or something like that. and I just polled everybody. I sent a message to everybody. I said, what was your favorite game of 2007? And he just replied with a picture of BioShock and a thumbs up. And we've been, super close ever since. We met in person a couple years later. He was one of my best men at my wedding. He's a wonderful, wonderful person. And now he's here in the Patreon army. So big shout outs to Daniel Hinojosa. Love you, Dan. But we do have some, again, it is a Patreon army at patreon.com/allinpodcast. So let's talk about our golden banana bunch here, starting with Rob Yapel, longtime friend and supporter, third strongest mole, Sam himself of the Retrologic podcast, Sean O'Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka Neoprime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, one half of the Shy Guy Mod Squad, Drew Agnew, the handsome host of the House Mario podcast. I stumbled through that. The handsome host of the House of Mario podcast, Phelan Ward of the Damage Counter Trading Card Game podcast, I was watching him stream a little bit earlier today, and it said he was playing Super Paper Mario, so I was really excited. I was like, I'm going to watch Phelan play Super Paper Mario. No, he was, of course, playing Pokemon Trading Card Game Online, is what he was playing. So... Bill Tucker of the Gamer Looks at 40 podcast, Marcus O'Neill, and Liam D. That's Liam D. from the Retro Groove podcast. Thank you so much to our Golden Banana supporters. But moving into the Triforce tier, we have got Josh Vaughn, longtime friend and supporter, Godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday. We've got John Datfast Cummins of the Retrologic podcast and On Topic Retro, the Globe-Trottin' Jet-Settin' Nintendo Hubbin' Sparky, who just got into Spelunky. That made me very happy.
Yeah, I saw
Sparky's
that.
playing Spelunky. Love that. That really, he should make a video on the Nintendo Hub that's just like Sparky does Spelunky or something like that. Like the wordplay just makes sense. It just makes sense. Adam Caparello, also of the Retro Groove podcast and the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, and Shy Guy, who is the second half of the Shy Guy Mod Squad, and the legend himself, the New Year's legend,
Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy. Thank you so much, Uncle Randy. Love you very much. Happy New Year to everybody. Bowser's here in the chat. We had Delroy in the chat earlier. Big thanks to everybody hanging out with us on YouTube tonight. Love you all. And we also, normally we like to shout out our reviews if we have any brand new 5-star reviews. No new reviews this week, but hey, you guys can come into the new year with some amazing 5-star reviews. That's on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible. You can leave us 5-star written reviews, and on Spotify, 5-star ratings, and you would get shouted out right here at this point of the show. Yeah. I would shout you out. I'll do it. I promise. I've done it before. It's recorded.
He'll do it again.
I've done it before.
I can't stop him.
Yeah, you can't stop me. I'll do it again. But with all that being said, sir, what's going on in your world this week?
Oh, well, just doing a bunch of stuff to close out 2022, trying to finish a few final games, including a game we're actually going to be talking about a little bit in the news roundup, such as it is. I've been playing Sports Story quite a bit, and I'm going to hold off on most of my thoughts until I finish the game, because as of yet, I'm actually fairly deep into Sports Story right now, and I blessedly haven't been dealing with a lot of the stuff that has been making the rounds in the news cycle. It's almost to the point where it almost feels like survivor's guilt or something, where I almost feel guilty because I haven't had to deal with everything that everybody else has been dealing with. But up to this point in my playthrough, am enjoying it quite a bit. I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I have incredibly fond memories of Golf Story, of course, one of the reasons that Sports Story was so highly anticipated this year, and of course got shadow drop at the end of the Inside the House of Indies little 5-point series of advent calendar micro indie showcases last week, to much excitement. And I've been playing it all the past week. I haven't beaten it, but so far I have nothing but good things to say about it. Yes, I have noticed a couple small things, and I was like, maybe they can patch this, but I haven't personally seen in my playthrough any of the game-breaking stuff. But again, we will talk about that here shortly. Ironically enough, there is another game that shadow dropped during last week's Inside the House of Indies, hullabaloo, that I did run into a pretty substantial game-breaking bug during my playtime with it. That is Hyper Gun Sport.
Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. I was like, what is he talking about? I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have already. But yeah, I constantly profess here on the show, give me all of the arcade sports games. I want to play them all. So I put my money where my mouth was. I put $25 down to pick up Hyper Gun Sport last week. And honestly, I really kind of dig it. It is interesting. It's like, it really feels like a mix between Windjammers 2 and something like Dodgeball Academia,
Good games.
but with guns instead. Hitting the ball with the guns is how you actually alter the trajectory of the ball. So you have two people per team. You have your keeper or whatever, and then you have your striker. You have one mobile character who has more of a shotgun style blast, or you have one stationary character who has more of a shotgun style blast, and then you have a mobile character who has more of a direct kind of pistol shot. And then each of the teams in the game have their own special moves that can affect the ball trajectory in different and interesting ways. And I really like the presentation. Reminds me of all the best years of the Neo Geo. Like I said, the game reminds me of Windjammers. The pixel art I think is really cool. The presentation, especially of stuff like the backgrounds and the arcade ladder, is really on point. And just the gameplay itself, I really kind of dig it. And if it wasn't for one thing, I will admit it would have gotten old very fast. But there's actually quite a few. I think about a couple dozen different individual special rule sets that add quite a bit of variety to the proceedings. So you have some where you can't jump at all. You have some where you can only reload. Typically, you reload over time. Like you can't just blast constantly. You reload your gun over time, but there are a couple special rule sets where you only get to reload if the ball comes back across your side of the net. There are a ton of different things that affect the gravity and the speed of the characters and the ball, and even some of the different really interesting level implements. There are some that make the ground, typically it's the left or right sides of the stage, that are the only goals, that are the only scoreable areas. But there are a few special rule sets that actually make the ground a scoreable area as well. There's actually a lot of really interesting special rule sets in the game. However, comma space, it's $25. It has no online multiplayer. And again, after unlocking the first of 2 unlockable teams, there's 7 total teams in the game. You only get access to 5 from the offset. But after unlocking the first one, the game has basically prevented me from progressing through their story. You can go through the arcade mode, which is slightly different for each team in the game, but you need to be able to go through the arcade mode with the unlockable team to get the final unlockable team, and the game just won't let me do it. It soft locks me after the first match every time. I did specifically tweet at the developer, and they did specifically get back to me to say that they did recognize the bug, they were able to replicate it, and they are currently working on a fix for it. So that is there. I have an official word from one of the developers that they are aware of it and they are working on it. But still, I mean, like I said, I dig it, but that is a very steep price point for a game that has no online multiplayer.
Yeah.
And as much as I do dig it, the gameplay isn't quite on the level of the games that I've compared it to. The game, I would not put it above, even if Windjammers 2 and Dodgeball Academia, even if both of those were only local multiplayer only, which admittedly I think Dodgeball actually is.
Dodgeball is for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But I would say Windjammers 2, Dodgeball Academia, and a fairly easy number 3 would be Hyper Gun Sport in terms of how tight and how satisfying the actual gameplay is. If it goes on sale, if it goes on a deep discount, check it out. I recommend it, especially if they get a couple of those big bugs patched. But at full price, no online, it's hard to give it a full recommend. Although I really dig it as a foundation, and if they are able to build on it and add more content to the game, add more like single player content or challenges or something like that, I may come around to it, and I may take a second look at possibly recommending it in the future. But that's my little look at Hypergun Sport from this past week.
But for now, he played it so you don't have to.
I hate to say it like that because
I
I
know.
did enjoy my time with it, but it's still a hard game. It's still a very hard game to recommend. However,
Yeah.
that wasn't the only thing that I played. I played that. I played Sports Story. Continuing to play Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Honestly, yeah, outside of the world of Nintendo, I also got on this really weird Zorro kick over the past week. The original TV
Zorro
series.
kick, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Really?
Random. I know it's random.
How does
but I
this
saw
happen?
Well, the original series, the original television series, I think it's the original television series with Guy Williams from 1958 and 1959 was recently added to Disney Plus. And I was just like, why not? So I've actually started watching some of the old 1950s Zorro TV episodes, which parlayed itself into watching the two Zorro movies with Antonio Banderas and Catherine Zeta-Jones, which are on Netflix.
Of course.
So, like I said, just been kind of a weird Zorro kick. I know it's completely random, but that has been part of my week. And also just kind of getting ready for the golden aces here at the end of the year. I know you are as well, bud, but what have you been up to?
Well, I had to just say, if Zorro were around today, they would throw him in Arkham. That's all I have to say. That's just my really nerdy
Zorro
Batman. All right, that's my Batman rest in peace reference. Anybody out there who gets it, we can be friends. So,
Zorro in R.
That's right, man. What a mind blowing book that is. Anyway, don't get me started. Don't get me started. I've been up to kind of a lot. I finished Cult of the Lamb this week, which was cool. I've basically 100%ed it. There's not really a whole lot left for me to do and less that I actually want to go back and do. I really do love that game. Like I really enjoyed my time with it. I have significant issues with it. I think that the balance between the roguelike kind of dungeon crawly Hades kind of thing it has going on and the actual cult management, I think it's like horribly skewed and unbalanced and needs work. It runs really, really badly on Switch once your cult start. Like, actually, I'm talking once it got to like the end of the game where I had a cult of like 25 followers and I had a lot of things going on in my cult.
Yep.
It was like Scarlet and Violet bad. Like, it was
really
bad. Yeah. To the point where if I was loading in to a new zone, I was genuinely like, it was a 50-50 shot of like, is it going to crash? Okay, cool. You know, like it
so did it crash a few times?
Oh yeah. I ended up having the game crash on me like 5 or 6 times. Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That stinks.
And it's got to be like a memory leak thing or just a processing power thing. The Switch just can't keep up with how that game's got a lot going on under the hood. I know it doesn't look like it. It looks like a very like simplistic game visually, but once you get there's really a lot going on. Once you get your cult and this one's tending to the farm and this one's on cleanup duty and this one's worshiping and this one's getting married and this one's doing, I mean, there's like a million little teeny tiny things going on. The Switch just can't keep up. So it's unfortunate. Like, it was getting, I got to the point where like I would consider like, do I just stop playing this? But I charged through and I did really enjoy it. Bowser here in the chat says it even had issues on Xbox Series X at launch. So
really?
maybe it's an issue just with the game. Maybe it's a memory leak thing. It reminds me actually of when Fallout New Vegas first came out. It had a similar thing where the deeper people were getting into it, the buggier it was. And it was a memory leak thing. And I kind of feel like Cult of the Lamb is maybe in the same boat. Massive Monster announced this week that they have a big free update coming in early 2023. So I'm kind of hoping that addresses some of it. Because, and I feel like this is just sort of like a feeling that I've had with a lot of games this year was I should have liked it more. You know, like I ended up liking Cult of the Lamb in spite of itself. And I feel like it genuinely, if some of these issues were ironed out, could have been way higher up in my mind for like my favorite games of the year. Like, there's a really good game in there. But you know, I still had a really good time with it. So there's that. Did play through Tales of Iron and effectively 100%ed that as well. I'm doing that for the Backtrackers, which is next weekend, January 7th, in the Carpool Gaming community. A bunch of us get together and chat like once a month about games, and it's awesome. And everybody's invited. If you guys want to join, you're totally welcome to. And the game is pretty short. Like, I effectively 100%ed it in about 6 hours. But man, what a good game this is. This is like begging for an indie showcase, begging for it. Like, at some point you got to play it, and we're going to have to talk about it on the show and just have like a nice meaty discussion about it, because it does deserve it. I really loved it. Like, I came into it not really sure kind of what to expect. I had heard of it. I had seen the box art like a million times, but I'd never really thought to pick it up and play it. But when Delroy picked it for the Backtrackers, I was like, all right, let's see what's going on. It happened to go on sale right after he picked it, and I was like, all right, let's do this. And I loved it. Like, I thought it was great. Had a great time with it.
Nice.
So did that. Been playing Melatonin, which is
Yes.
really good.
Another game that Shadow dropped during last week's Inside the House of Indies Advent Calendar.
Yep.
Hullabaloo.
It sure did. Really, really good. Really loving it. It's hard. It's really hard. What's funny is talking to people who, because it's it's a Rhythm Heaven game essentially.
Of course, yeah.
And talking to people who have never played Rhythm Heaven, they're like, wait a minute, this game's hard. And I'm like, yeah, it is. Like, the difficulty curve is real. Like, it definitely, is deceptively difficult. You're going to come into it and be like, this little cute pastel pink and purple game ain't going to be that hard. And then, I only have to press one button the entire time. No, it gets tough, dude. So yeah, Melatonin has been a lot of fun. Really, really enjoying that. I'm not done with it yet, because I have this, I'm never going to perfect every stage in the game. That's just not going to happen. That's just never going to happen. But I can't move on unless I have 3-starred the standard and the hard mode of each level. I can't move on until that happens. So still got a ways to go on that. Yeah. And then, so when I wrapped up Tales of Iron, I was like, okay, we're here at the end of the year. That's probably the last Nintendo Switch game that I think I'm going to play start to finish this year. I just don't think I'm going to fit anything else in. I've crammed in so many games. We've been playing so many games this month. And I was like, I think I'm done. I think I'm good to put it to bed. It's time to start. And really, the next big game on Switch that I'm going to pick up is Theater Rhythm, which is in mid-February. Yep. So I'm like, I've got a good month and a half, to really kind of work at the backlog a little bit. So it's weird to say, but I actually started playing something not on the Nintendo Switch. I know. What a concept. This never happens. I genuinely have had a PlayStation 5 for over a year now, and I have not rolled credits on not one game on the PS5, other than It Takes Two. Other than It Takes Two with my wife. That's the only game that I've rolled credits on. Sorry, 2. It Takes Two with my wife, and Life is Strange True Colors with my wife, both of which I played previously on other platforms first. So, but otherwise, I have not rolled credits on any PlayStation 5 games. So finally, despite owning it since day one, I finally downloaded on my PS5 Psychonauts 2 and started playing it.
Nice.
I've put like 3-4 hours into it. I'm really loving it. And it's actually really nice. Can we actually just talk for a second? Just a quick second. Can I just talk to the Sony fans out there? Y'all gotta do something about this controller. Like, this PlayStation 5 controller, the battery life is awful. It's terrible. Like, it's really bad. And I'm not trying to be like the Nintendo fanboy, but I'm totally spoiled by the Pro Controller, where you can play it for like 50, 60, 80 hours on a single charge. I'm not kidding you. I will go through the like, normally when I have to stop playing games on a PS5, it's because my controller's out of juice. Like, it's like 5 hours of battery life. It's bad.
Yeah. My Pro Controller in the Nintendo Switch has run low. It's notified me that it's running low on battery like 2 or 3 times. And each time I was like, I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, it's bad. Like, and I actually like the controller itself a lot. The DualShock 5 feels good, has like some cool rumble. I don't really care about the the adaptive triggers, they do this thing where like there's like force feedback on the triggers. I don't really care about that. But like it has so much stuff inside of it that the battery life just tanks. Like it's awful. I'm like, why is this okay? I'm not kidding. It's like 5 hours on
Hey,
that
wired
battery.
controllers are coming back in vogue, Seth. Wired
Oh my
controllers are
gosh.
becoming
And
popular again.
and you could like right, you can use a USB-C plug for it or whatever. And I have like a fairly, but if I'm like sitting on my couch playing, I don't want to be, it's a whole to do. Anyway, y'all got to figure out that controller's battery life. Just figure that if I could go in and turn off all of that junk to give myself more battery life, I would. I genuinely would. So, anyway, that's my little mini rant on the PlayStation controller. I'm having fun. It's been great to play Psychonauts 2.
I was about to say, are you actually enjoying the game though?
It's great. It's great. Psychonauts 2 is great. The first Psychonauts, one of my favorite games of all time.
Yep.
It's crazy that I've gone this long without playing Psychonauts 2. And it's so like it's so nice to be back in that world. Like they just get you right back into it, and it feels like going home. It's real good.
A very weird home.
Yeah. And it's weird to like it actually looks better than I was prepared for it to look. Like, because Psychonauts' art style.
Nintendo Switch.
I guess that's true. That's probably also true. Not for nothing, the Nintendo Switch, underpowered little baby. The games don't look so great sometimes. But the Psychonauts' art style, it kind of looks like a claymation Tim Burton kind of thing, and it still does. And like I just wasn't really prepared for it to like look and run as well as it does, I guess. Like I was just kind of, I don't know, it's weird. It's like weird. It's like this is Psychonauts. So anyway, but all that humor is still there. The world is still there. It's a total treat. Good 3D, collectathon platformer. Really, really enjoying it. So
nice.
Yes. Spider Shan. Spider Shan here in the chat. So little Nintendo news. So talking PlayStation, you're not wrong. Look, we're feeling. Look, Nintendo gave us nothing to work with this week, my friend. We're just hanging out right now. But
we do have a few things to talk about.
I was gonna say, should we go ahead and move into the little bit of news we do have?
Sounds good. There's a few things we're talking about, a few things here at the end of the year that we would like to discuss with you, our lovely, lovely listeners. So for the last time of 2022, let's talk about it.
Hey, listen!
Look, Seth. It's a little Mario toy.
Hey, I got one too.
It's a little Mario toy.
Look at him. These toys are lame, dude. They
are really bad.
Kids
I don't know
today,
if it was just our memory of the toys from McDonald's back in the day, but these brand new Super Mario movie McDonald's toys that just dropped are not worthy of the IP, frankly. But they did, of course, just dropped. They did, of course, finally get to McDonald's because the original release date for the Super Mario Brothers movie had it set to launch here right toward the tail end of the holidays 2022.
Merch has to keep rolling. Merch has got to keep rolling.
Merch has to keep rolling. So the Mario toys, which features basically a bust of Mario punching his hand up in his iconic form, coming out of a little green pipe. Yeah, his little
Chris Pratt
thing. Yeah, coming out of a green pipe. Coming out of a green pipe, which is just spring loaded. You push it down, it comes back up. That's honestly all it does.
That's all it is.
Depending on your location, you may have gotten a couple others. A few of our friends were able to get their hands on a couple of the other ones, like Princess Peach and Toad. But for the most part, you're probably only going to be able to find the Mario toy for right now. But if that's something you're into, if you are that hype for the Super Mario Brothers movie, like Seth and I are, despite the relative low quality of this merchandise, because of what it's attached to, because of the enormity of the movie coming out, I'm going to try to get all of them.
Oh, for sure.
Merch. So if that's something that you're into, kind of reminds me a little bit. I'm sure it's not nearly going to reach the level of insanity that the old 1990s Beanie Baby rush got at McDonald's.
No way. Yeah.
But if that's something you're into, check out your local McDonald's. I think they sell them individually. I didn't,
they do.
I eat quite a bit more than a kid's meal these days. So, but McDonald's will individually sell the toys if that's what you're looking for just a couple bucks, which
Yeah.
frankly is too expensive.
Yeah. Do you remember when they used to do the Mighty Kids meal? In like the
Yeah.
late 90s, early 2000s, were just like a step above. You'd still get a toy,
Yeah.
but it was like a step above, kind of a teenager, you know. I used to like that. Spider Shan here in the chat says, I miss the McDonald's toys from the Super Mario Brothers 3 era. That's exactly it. Like that's what this is totally tapping into, is is like these Super Mario Brothers 3. You know, when we were all kids, that's the McDonald's toys we got with the wind-up Goomba. I miss those toys had little booklets of lore in them. And even if they just simply included a little crappy booklet, I'd be happy.
Haven't you referenced one of those terrible little booklets in one of your Behind Enemy Lines videos?
The first episode of Behind Enemy Lines is about the Goomba, because of course it is, and I reference it. There's a whole little, minute-long segment about McDonald's in that episode. And yeah, man, like, and it's cool because really all this is, right? This is just a totem of this movie that we've been waiting on our entire lives. That's all this is. Just a cheap little plastic totem, and it's bad and it's low quality, but you know what? I love it. I love it. and I'm gonna get them all for sure. Locklith here in the chat says, my other Nintendo bros, Locklith and I were chatting. She was able to get her hands on Luigi. So we'll see. I think what's gonna happen here is you're seeing a lot of she says Seth and his lore, shaking my head. Yeah, well look, you get that Mario lore from me anywhere you go. I think McDonald's is getting these in waves. I think a lot of stores are starting with Mario, and they're getting like these boxes of, Happy Meal toys or whatever, and a lot of places only have Mario for now. But eventually, this is running, from what I understand, running until the end of January. So don't worry. Just keep poking your head into your local McDonald's. Don't be afraid to go up in there and just ask to buy it. You can buy the Happy Meal toys separately. You don't got to buy a Happy Meal. You can go up in there and just say, hey, I want my Toad, or I want my, my Bowser, my Donkey Kong. Or, by the way, talking about lore, can we talk about how the Happy Meal toys just low-key confirmed Luma's in the movie? Can we just talk about that? That's like a massive piece of information where, we heard Peach in this latest trailer just, say like the emphasis on like their other galaxies.
Yeah.
And then she just, next little piece of information we get, next little chicken McNugget of information we get is now there's Lumas in the movie, apparently, because they have a Luma toy at at McDonald's. Like, that's wild to me, that this is how we learn that there's Mario Galaxy representation in the movie. Come on.
I don't know. Take care of them. I don't know, collectors markets are an incredibly bizarre and ever fluctuating abyss of madness, but I don't know if these Mario movie toys are going to be kind of remembered or talked about in the same vein as stuff like the old McDonald's Transformers toys from back in the day that actually go for a surprising, the little like the fries and the burger, and
it's more than
it's not like $1 billion a piece.
No.
But you'll get your money back at least.
Yeah, you can get a I actually, so I have a lot of fondness for McDonald's. Y'all know this. I keep a little Vampire McNugget buddy on my desk. So, I love Happy Meal toys. I have a lot of nostalgia.
We're honestly still waiting on that McDonald's side quest episode.
It's going to happen one day.
I think it is. Yeah.
It's going to happen one day. And I have a lot of love for these Happy Meal toys. So there is something just kind of nostalgic about getting this little derpy guy. He didn't do much, but I love him. He's going to sit here on my desk, make me think about this movie coming out in April.
I know. I do kind of wish there was like a little watch battery in there where every time you push it down, it's like, wahoo, wahoo,
yeah.
wahoo. It would only work like 10 times, but still,
Eventually it gets all morph.
Exactly. Becomes cursed,
Just sounds like Chris Pratt.
Well, that's fair. But ultimately, yeah. So the McDonald's Super Mario Brothers movie toys are out in the wild now. Look, if you want to jump into our Discord, if you want to try to, if you're having trouble finding stuff, maybe, our Discord can kind of help you track down stuff that you're having a hard time finding.
If it gets to that point, I would be surprised. Let's give it a little bit of time, y'all. Just I know a lot of people are freaking out. We're in the early days. We're not in the wasteland of Mario movie Happy Meal toys yet. Just relax. They've been available for like 2 days.
Give me a Luigi Lockwood. Give me a Luigi.
Like, just chill out. We're gonna keep calm. Now, if it gets to the end of January and nobody's able to find any toys, then we start freaking out. Then it's mass freak out. Then it's mass hysteria. Then all bets are off. But for now, let's just we'll be all right. We're gonna get our toys. We'll be
Settle
okay.
it and smash.
That's right. That's right. Oh boy, but we're scraping the bottom of the barrel this week, Eric. There's really one other big story that we did want to talk about though, and this one not as pleasant, as Happy Meal toys.
So I talked a little bit earlier about the fact that I was playing Sports Story with Shadow Dropped last week, and I have been personally enjoying it. However, a couple things have come to light in regards to not just a lot of very prominent technical issues that a lot of people have been suffering with since the game's release, but in addition to that, a secret room within the game was discovered through hacking, which essentially seems like essentially a dev room of whistleblowers telling people that they've been overworked, and basically all the worst things about crunch that we've talked about in the video game indie dev or just the video game development community over the past few years, which you hate to see that, but it's been getting a lot of traction over the past couple days. I haven't seen anybody associated with the game specifically officially comment on it yet, but it's a pretty upsetting story.
Yeah, it is apparently, I guess the way you do it, there's like an area in the game where you can like push some boxes around. I saw the person who initially discovered this post a video of like how to replicate it.
Yep.
And essentially you like move these boxes around. You can kind of finagle and move the box to block the entrance of the building, so that when you leave the building and come back in, the box is still there and you get pushed out of bounds. So, and then in the out of bounds space is where this like hidden developer room is. Now, hidden developer rooms, not uncommon, right? Pokemon always does this, and usually there is some sort of like facsimile for the developers in there, maybe some kind of wink and a nod at the audience, but this is like a sad cry for help. Like it comes off as like, it's really some of the things the developers are saying in that, like it almost feels like a creepypasta. Like it almost feels like that, where they found this like hidden dev room where they talk about how like the some of the things the little characters are saying in there that are supposed to be inserts for the developers are saying things like, my initial vision is destroyed. This game looks nothing like how I initially envisioned it. Maybe we should make sure the game works rather than add features. You could say the game has trouble development, like all this like kind of bleak stuff. And I think it's sad. Like it made me really sad to see it.
Within the context of the game itself, these quote-unquote fictional developers are talking about it in reference to the fictional game within the world of Sports Story called GALF. Galf. However, I mean, it is a very obvious, like it's a wink and a nod to the point where you're like, is your eye twitching?
Yeah. They reference, because that way the kind of weirdly nice and ironic thing about that is because they're referencing Galf, they have the scapegoat. They can say like, we're not making a commentary. That's just what these totally fictional characters are saying about the fictional development of their fictional game. But it's like obvious that it's it's an obvious self-insert for them. And when you have developers that like feel the need to put something like that in their game, like you got to think about how frustrated you have to be to put in the work required to make a whole little separate area and just hope the players find it.
It honestly reminds me of Adventure.
Yeah, a little bit.
But I'm referencing the original Easter egg from the Atari game Adventure, where they didn't want to add credits. They didn't want to actually give credit to the game's developer. So he said, forget you guys. I'm actually going to secretly insert my name into the game. So that's kind of what this feels like, is the publishers coming down and making a bunch of mandates and demands, and the developers just saying, well, forget you, we're gonna, find our own way to get back at them, to, have just a little piece of, to regain just a little piece of dignity. I don't want to say dignity, because I don't think any of their dignity's been lost. I just feel like,
Right.
I feel like artistically, that's one of the things about the game is, yes, it takes a lot of work, a lot of very tedious and a lot of very mind numbing work, but ultimately these are artistic creations. These are not just things that you check a lot of boxes. These are things you have to make creative decisions about. These are ways to express yourself as an artist. And when it gets to that point, when it gets to the point that these developers clearly have gotten to, you hate to see it. And I really hope that moving forward, I hope that ultimately the game can wind up in a better state. But first and foremost, I hope that the people behind the game can find some type of closure, can find some type of way forward.
Well, and what especially, I don't know, there are a couple of things about this that kind of give me pause, because it's clear that their artistic vision was compromised, or that they feel
Yep.
that way. It's clear that they feel like, we had to crunch, and features were being added versus like just making sure the game works. And while you've not encountered, a lot of the bugs and crashes that a lot of people have, there have been a lot of people who are like, look, this game is like in a really bad state. And it's unfortunate. And now the onus is sort of on the developer. Now the crunch is even more real because the game is out, and now they
Yeah.
have to fix it. And like, so I just feel really bad, like, for the people involved in it. And it also, I think, just drives home, and this is another topic that I think was coming up a lot this year, and it's almost like a little bittersweet, well, not even bittersweet, it's just kind of a final note to 2022. We saw a lot of stories this year, kind of, starting right at the top of the year, talking about unionization in video games, right?
Yep.
And here we are, going from things like the Helena Taylor thing, and the way voice actors are treated in the video games industry. And here we are seeing this to end out the year with. And it's just this realization of like, you can't be altruistic in a capitalist society, in a consumerist society. There is something bad bubbling under the surface of basically anything you consume. And even if that developer room was never put in or never discovered, you would have never known that was going on behind the scenes. I think about even stuff like what's happening with the Outbound Ghost. This stuff is
Yep.
happening over and over and over and over again, and this is just the stuff we see. This isn't even in reference to, that game is Space for the Unbound that finally comes out next month, and all the stuff they had to deal with. Like, these stories were frequent this year, and it sucks. It sucks. And like, my big hope is that now that a lot of these stories are public, and they are getting sort of their truth out there, that the publishers who are treating these people wrong are going to realize that more of the spotlight is on them than ever before. That's my big hope.
Yeah.
So,
well, there is a potential route for you to take, and we do have a couple friends that we think that you should talk to if you want to go that specific route. Chris, Gemma, Miriam, maybe they could talk to some of the people from Video Workers United about the possibility of at least looking into becoming a union to, do what they can to fight back against a lot of this, because all this is doing, after all the negativity that's been created because of all the demands and the crunch and everything like that, all it's doing is bringing even more negative press on both the publisher and the game itself. So hopefully, eventually, both sides have to understand. And when I say both sides, I mean the world of developers and the world of publishers at large, that this is always going to happen when you're making these demands, when the crunch is happening. Listen to your developers when they're coming back at you. Don't just try to make things bigger and sexier all the time, because these are the situations that are becoming depressingly commonplace.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad, but it was one of those things too where we did want to highlight it. There are a lot of things that happened this week that we could have talked about. We are of course aware of some of the leaks and rumors that have been going on in the Nintendo sphere. We're aware of like the Tears of the Kingdom thing that but we don't talk about leaks and rumors on the show. When it is officially revealed, if it's real and if it's officially revealed, we'll talk about it then. So that's why we're not talking about that this week, in case anybody was wondering or tuning in for the first time. But what we will do is we will take the opportunity to spotlight something nasty that's happening and to raise awareness about it. And that's all we can do, man. That's all we can do.
That's all. And unfortunately, aside from that, there's really not too many other big news stories, quote unquote, within the world of Nintendo. There are a couple things that I think are worth mentioning here as we get toward the end of our final news, as Seth plays with his little Mario toy. As we get to the end of our final news roundup of 2022, I do want to say, especially if you are a big indie fan like both Seth and I are, the indie sale that's going on right now on the eShop is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like everything that's on my wish list is basically half off at this point. So if you have any eShop gift cards from the holidays,
good call.
They have given you a ton of reasons to spend those right now. So a ton of really good, really high profile, a ton of games that we have featured on indie showcases in the past 2.5 years. So if you're looking for some good games to end out 2022 on, there are a lot of very deep discounts going on the Nintendo Switch eShop right now. I also do want to, this also isn't a news story, but well, I guess partly a news story because a Nintendo content creator other than us actually made a really cool observation about the world of Nintendo, shock and awe. But I did think that something that the Super Mario Broth Twitter posted today was actually a really astute observation, and it's something at least worth mentioning today. It is the first time since 1990, in 32 years, first time since 1990, that 2 or fewer Mario games released within a calendar year. Those
Nice.
two being Sparks of Hope and
Strikers
Battle League. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, we did get the Mario Kart DLC, and of course, there's a lot of eyes on the Super Mario Brothers movie. But yeah, for the first time in 32 years, we got 2 or fewer Mario games released within a calendar year. I did think that was an interesting observation, worth noting at least.
That's
I'm into
cool.
really cool trivia like that.
Well, yeah, I've been following Super Mario Broth for like 10 years. That's definitely the place you want to be if you like stuff like that. And by the way, Broth, the curator of Super Mario Broth, is like one of my white whales. I would love to get him on the show.
Yeah, come on the show. We'd love to have you. Come on the show.
This is actually, I think, maybe the first person I ever invited onto All In ever.
Oh.
Yeah. So anyway, he's one of my white whales. I would love to make that happen. I'm such a huge fan of Super Mario Broth. But anyway.
Well, something for you to do this weekend, Seth. Maybe time for you to jump back in for at least just a day into Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, because everybody's talking about the Cinderace Terra Raid event going on right now. Speaking of those 7-star raids, geez. Like if you're not bringing a level 100 perfect IV, fully EV'd out, like specifically trained countermeasure to whatever's in those level 7 raids, you're basically just going to get wrecked. Those things are stupid. But in addition to the Cinderace, Gengars are actually part of that event, Seth.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Gengars and Gyarados are the 4 and 5-star pieces of this week's event raid, Terra Raid event thing. So I've picked up a couple super really cool Gengars, and I know Gengar is your boy, Seth, so I figured I would shout that out for you. And if you want to pick up a nice big special event Gengar this weekend, even if you care nothing about Cinderace, you can pick up Gengar and Gyarados in the raid events this weekend.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. I do like Gengar. Maybe.
I know you like Gengar.
We shall see. Do we even have I think maybe we have a notable release to shout out, don't we?
Well, the only thing resembling a notable release from this past week is the newest Arcade Archives, which just dropped, I believe, earlier today. Finally, we have Bubble Bobble, the original Bubble Bobble, was added to the Arcade Archives series from Hamster earlier on today. Arcade classic. I'm a huge fan of Bubble Bobble, especially the sequel, Rainbow Islands. One of my favorite NES games. One of the most underrated games, frankly, of all time, in my opinion. I adore Rainbow Islands. But yeah, if you like Bubble Bobble, the original arcade version is now finally available on the Nintendo Switch. And when it comes to notable releases, that's kind of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. There's a couple like toddler-centric puzzle games. When I say puzzle games, I mean literally like jigsaw puzzles, like 12-piece jigsaw puzzles that would take anybody with 3 brain cells 2 minutes to finish the entire game. But go figure, nobody wants to release their game in the actual final couple days of 2022.
Nothing. This is like the most blood we've been able to squeeze from this stone, man. It's just not. It just ain't happening. There's just nothing coming out. Very few, news stories. But hey, at least we had some fun. At least we were able to talk about some stuff.
We always have some fun. We always have some fun, and it's nice. It's been nice just to be able to hang out and help ring in the new year. We knew it wasn't going to be big. I'm going to jump on to Animal Crossing. Like I said, I've specifically stayed off my island all year just because I want to ring in the new year with it and just kind of do like a year later, Animal Crossing New Horizons a year later, just see what's going on, see the Lord of the Flies situation.
That's cockroaches.
Probably going, yeah, exactly, the cockroaches. And my island's probably overrun with weeds at this point. Pirates have probably taken over the entire island 3 times over.
Yeah.
But I do, I'm sure I'm making it up much more interesting than it's probably
It's just
going
an
to be.
island of cannibals now. They've all eaten each other.
I would respect that. I would actually, that would be amazing if you don't come back to Animal Crossing after a year or so. The game just completely shifts focus and becomes a survival horror.
Super dark.
That would be low-key amazing.
Goose just like bashes you with like I have the conch, I will speak.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. It's ridiculous. Well, that's cool.
Brewster's just jittering in the corner from too much. He's like, yeah. I've seen things.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I might turn on Animal Crossing. I don't know. It's been a long time as I played. My villagers probably don't even remember who I am anymore. So that would be crazy. I always watch Star Wars A New Hope for New Year's, and there's this tradition that the Rebel Force. Yeah, Rebel Force Radio is a podcast I've listened to for a long time, a Star Wars podcast. And they have, I don't remember the exact time, but if you start Star Wars A New Hope at a certain time and play it at that time, the Death Star will explode at midnight. And we've done that the past few years, so it's fun. It's fun.
Very nice. But let us know what you guys are up to this New Year's Eve weekend. How are you ringing in 2023? Let us know. Reach out to us on Facebook at All In Podcast, on Twitter at All In Podcast. Join us over at youtube.com/All In Podcast, where we stream these amazing weekly news broadcasts from each and every Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And after you've checked out the podcast, after you've checked out our social medias, after you've checked out our videos, after you've checked out Seth's videos, make sure to also check out Le Patreon.
Le Patreon. Oh, oui.
Patreon.
Patreon.com/allinpodcast is where you go. There are 3 tiers of support there. Join the army of incredible people who support us over there. Like Daniel Hinojosa. Love that guy and love everybody who supports us over there. Thank you guys so much. And if you don't have any bones to throw our way in the new year, we get it. That's all fine. You can drop us some words entirely for free on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and Audible, and you can leave us 5-star ratings on Spotify. Very, very free, very easy, and very appreciated. Ring in the new year with an All In Podcast review, won't you?
The gift that truly keeps on giving.
We appreciate
it. But for all of you who have supported us in 2022, thank you all so much. For all of our amazing patrons who have been with us since we started Patreon this year. Thank you all so much for all of you amazing people who have dropped reviews or ratings on whatever service, whatever podcasting platform you listen to the show on. Thank you so much. For anybody who has even stopped in to consume any piece of our content at all in the past 2.5 years and help share it over the internet. Namaste.
Namaste. That's the news, everybody. Hey, Spider Shan with the RFR shout out. We got another RFR listener. Very cool. Good. You love to see it. I've been listening to RFR for a long time, man. Yeah, guys, that's the news. What little news there was. I can't believe
the final stream of 2022.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was super. It was kind of more laid back. You know, we didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but we made it work. Look, Eric and I know how to talk. We'll find something to talk about. We'll find a way. But
with this news week, we still went an hour.
Somehow, I really shouldn't be surprised. So guys, before you head out, like the stream, subscribe if you haven't already. Subscribe, we super appreciate it.
We do.
Big things happening in the new year, including at this point, really in just a few days. Next Wednesday, January 4th, is going to be the Golden Aces, which we're going to be doing live here on the YouTube channel. You're not going to want to miss that. We're giving away awards. We are, Lachlan says, y'all do love to talk. We sure do. Somebody should record that whenever it happens. So we're doing the Golden Aces Wednesday, January 4th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, same time as this. And we're giving away awards. We've got the community choice stuff. We have some submissions for that to get to, see who the community voted for. We've got a very special announcement at the end of that stream that you guys are not going to want to miss. So
one of the biggest announcements of our entire run.
True. That's true. We got some big news to announce at the end of that stream, so you're not going to want to miss it. That's next Wednesday, January 4th, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So look forward to that. Snazzy Award Show, the only award show that matters. And of course, you do still have the podcast, which is going live tomorrow. This is just the first segment of it. We're also going to look back on the year that was for All In our top 5 this week. It's the top 5 most memorable All In moments of the year. We're doing an indie showcase on Neon White, finally, which makes me very happy. And then we're doing a nice discussion kind of looking forward at our most anticipated Nintendo games of 2023. And maybe even doing a couple little predictions in there, mayhaps. So that's
Are they predictions if they're right?
Hey, who knows? It's you know where to invest in tomorrow's episode. You just take all that stuff to the bank. Everything we say tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got some legal insider trading tips for you. The stock and All In is going up next.
They're going to Yuji Naka us after tomorrow's episode.
At least he was officially charged at this point.
I guess so, yeah. Finally officially charged. Jose, thanks so much for coming out, my friend. And thank you all so much for coming out. We love you all very much. Have a happy new year. We will, everybody be safe. Whatever you're doing this weekend, just be safe. We love you all very much. We're going to see you in the new year. We'll see you at the Golden Aces. We love you. Bye-bye.